Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Cook Radio Son Podcast. I am your host, Malika Critchlow, feeling very blessed to be here today. Today, we continue with the book, the Magdalene Manuscript, the alchemies of Horus, and the sex magic of Isis. So, I don't have much insights today, really. Just that I have theories, but no insights. So I can't really share anything because it's no definite. Like I haven't seen how it plays out yet. But still good dreams, good understandings, So today we're going to do the introduction of the fundamentals of internal alchemy. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm trying to finish some of that today. Let me see. Put my glasses on. I hope everyone's well. We got a lot of rain in Miami. There was some flooding, unfortunately. So today we still had rain, but we had like half day after half day. And the morning was really breezy and nice, sunny. So let's see what we can get from the message today, if there's anything. I hope so. Hope I can learn something. Okay. Introduction to the fundamentals of the internal alchemy. Without an understanding of the alchemical terms used in the manuscript, it would be rather difficult to understand its essential concepts. In addition, some of the central ideas of the heart, at the heart of internal alchemy may not be familiar to many readers. For this reason, I have included a brief overview of internal alchemy in general and a larger overview of Egyptian alchemy in particular. It is my hope that these introductory sections will provide the reader with a deeper understanding and appreciation of the manuscript. That was a personal note from Tom. Okay, so here we go. I decided to make tea this morning. Rumbling through the cupboard half awake, I found a small kettle hidden in the corner. I poured some water in it and sat it on the stove, lighting the burner. I went off to do other things, like cleaning the counter from last night's dinner. Soon I heard the familiar rumbling of boiling water. Sure enough, small clouds of hot mist were hovering over the stove. I turned off the gas and poured the hot water into an empty cup. The water hissed as it slid over the hot metal surface of the pot into the waiting container. I plopped in a tea bag and finished cleaning the counter. While attending to the task at hand, imperceptibly, the hot water found its way into the tea leaves. What had been just a cup of hot water was now a cup of tea. What, you may ask, does making tea have to do with alchemy? Plenty. The art of alchemy is simply changing one form into another. Most people think of alchemy as a medieval obsession for changing lead into gold. And while this is one form of alchemy, anything that causes a change in form is alchemy as well. Turning water into steam is alchemy. Changing a dry tea bag into tea is also alchemy. While external alchemy, like changing lead into gold, is a fascinating enterprise, I am more intrigued by internal alchemy, like the type discussed by Magdalene in the manuscript. But whether one is attempting to create enhanced capabilities in oneself or to brew a cup of tea, some of the principles are the same. All successful alchemies must have three elements. 1, a substance to be transformed. 2, a container to hold the alchemical reaction. And 3, energy. Had I, for instance, stumbled into the kitchen this morning and poured water onto the burner, instead of a kettle, it would not have created alchemy. I would have created a mess. In external alchemies, like making tea or nuclear fission, yes, atomic power is alchemy as well. The containers are pretty obvious. Different containers are required for different tasks. A teacup, for instance, will do quite well for making tea, but it's a very poor container for a nuclear reactor. For that, you will need massive amounts of concrete, lead, and a tremendous amount of water. The internal alchemies, the containers, are more abstract, as are the goals. The purpose of internal alchemy is to change consciousness, to accelerate one's own personal evolution. I do not, by the way, mean evolution in the usual sense. I doubt that anyone will physically sprout wings or fly as a result of practicing internal alchemy. However, the changes wrought by such practice can be so profound that one feels as if one is flying above life and viewing it from a greatly expanded perspective. This is why many of the alchemical symbols from around the world involve flying beings, like the Garudas of Balinese Hinduism, the dragons of Taoism, or Horus, the hawk-headed god of Egyptian alchemy, to name a few. In all systems of internal alchemy, the container for the alchemical reaction is awareness itself. In other words, mental focus. As you read these words, you are holding them in the container of your awareness, and they are hopefully making sense to you. But if your awareness were to wander, say to a conversation in the next room, the container would shift and my words would not register. Even though you might be going through the motion of reading, the words would not be impacting you because you were outside the container of your awareness. This is a basic concept in all forms of internal alchemy, which can be stated quite simply. Energy follows awareness. In the reading example above, for instance, the energy of your attention flows where you put your awareness. If you pay attention to what you're reading, the words will make an impression in your mind. If, however, you pay attention to that conversation we were having about the words in this, so sorry, let me read this over. If, however, you pay attention to that conversation we were talking about, the words of this book won't impress your mind, but the words of the conversation will. The alchemical container of inner alchemy is awareness itself. The substances transformed through the processes of inner alchemy vary according to the stream or lineage. Some of these substances include such things as physical neurotransmitters, hormones, saliva, and sexual fluids. There are also, however, whole classes of subtle substances that include such ephemeral things as chi in the Taoist stream, prana in the yogic stream, the winds, Ihong in the Tibetan stream, and nitas in the Egyptian. Or nettas, I don't know. It is the class of subtle substances that inner alchemy is most concerned with. And for the average person, this is one of the most difficult concepts to understand. The reason, I think, has to do with our conditioning to the Newtonian world of everyday reality. We are not trained, generally speaking, to attend to the subtle energies behind the shadow play of physical reality. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Remember that cup of tea I made this morning? Well, I never finished it, and it's now sitting cold on the counter. I got caught up in other things and forgot about it. For some reason, I didn't rinse out the old cup, but instead got a clean one from the cabinet. I put it next to the old one, filled it with hot water, and plopped in another tea bag. There were small billows of steam rising from the new cup of tea, but nothing was rising from the old cup except the smell of cold tea. How odd, I thought. I picked up both cups of tea, one cold, one hot. I felt like Goldilocks and the three bears. This one's too cold. This one's too hot. I put down the hot one to let it cool off so that I might get it, so that it might get to be just right. I was in the two side-by-side worlds of Newtonian and quantum reality. I could hold the two cups in my hands. One was cold and one was hot. But the reason for this difference was from a realm much subtler than the two cups or the watery tea they contained. It had to do with the individual molecules of water. Although I could not see it, the molecules in the hot water were running about helter-skelter, like a mob at a shopping mall, bumping into each other and in the process, heating things up. In fact, when I had brought the water to a boil on the stove, they were at their most riotous, a molecular Mardi Gras of extreme proportions. The cold cup, on the other hand, held a group of lethargic molecules. The energy that had heated them up had long ago passed out of the cup in the form of radiant heat, and the once riotous molecules were now slow like dowagers in a nursing home. The only difference between the party animals in the hot cup of tea and the sleepy ones in the cold cup was energy. I could not, with my physical senses, see the difference between the molecules of water since they were too small for me to see. All I could sense was the after effects of their energy or lack of it, namely heat or cold. In point of fact, that is all any of us experience in the physical world, the after effects of something happening in the subtle or quantum world. The task of the alchemist is to become aware of and sensitive to the subtle realms that escape most people. The reason for this is that subtle realm or quantum world holds the best types of substances for alchemical transformation. For the most part, the substances in the Newtonian or dense physical world are too gross, too dense to be transformed through the power of alchemical attention. But the subtle realm, the quantum world, is very receptive to the focus of such attention. In my example of the two teacups, the common element was energy or lack of it. In this case, the energy was applied from an external source. In most internal alchemies, however, the source of energy is usually the energy of consciousness itself. What do I mean by this? Become aware of one of your hands for a moment. Just shift your attention to it. Be aware of its position, its weight, and the physical sensations in the hand. After a moment of this, become aware of the other hand. Which hand has more sensation in it? In other words, which one has more energy? For most people, the hand that had been focused on will have more sensation. This is because energy follows awareness. The alchemical container of awareness was focused on a particular hand, and this resulted in an increase of perceived energy in the hand. The neurological reasons for this are quite complex, but the practice of holding attention is quite simple. We do it every day. Sometimes energy of the breath is used to power an alchemical reaction. At times, an external energy source might be used, such as the sun or the ceremonial fire. In some rare forms of alchemy, other elements such as water or air are used. Hold on, guys. And the use of external energies to hide an alchemical reaction. Oh my God, why did I say hide? In the use of external energies to drive an alchemical reaction, the alchemist must focus on a flame while holding within the container of awareness the substance to be transformed. And the energy of the sun might be used to lower an internal alchemical reaction in the same way. To give you an example, I'm writing this part of the book in the month of August on the island of Paros in the Cyclades of Greece. Every afternoon around 6, when the sun is not blazing hot, I sit on the deck for about an hour and do an alchemical practice within the ancient Egyptian stream. To explain how I do this practice, I need to define a term from Egyptian alchemy, the ka. The ka body is sometimes called the etheric double or spiritual twin. It is the same shape and size as the physical body, the cat. But it is made of energy and has very little mass or density. As I hold this subtle body in the container of my awareness, I sense the sun. And I draw the subtle energies available to me through the sunlight into my car. Some of these energies from the sun has been scientifically documented, such as ultraviolet radiation and the primary colors of full spectrum light. Studies have shown that full spectrum light has a very positive effect on health. But there's a whole class of more subtle energies that science has not yet verified. These extremely subtle energies are presumably too subtle for our current methods of measurement. Theorists might refer to this type of subtle energy as solarized yang qi. A yogi might refer to it as the prana of Surya, the sun. And an alchemist within the Egyptian stream might simply say that it is the netta of Ra, the power of the sun god. But whatever you call it, there is another type of subtle energy in sunlight. In my practice of this technique, I have discovered what I call the armchair method. I used to use an elaborate system of standing movements to draw the sun's energy into my car. I still sometimes do this when I am feeling particularly energetic, but I have found that the method works just as well if I am sitting on my butt. In this case, at around 6 in the afternoon, I sit in a canvas lounge chair provided by our benevolent landlord, Stephanos. I take off my shirt and lean back. Holding my car body in the container of my awareness, I simply become aware of my car. Or you might say, I imagine it as a body of luminous light. When I breathe in a relaxed manner, hold on, guys. Then I breathe in a relaxed manner, and on the inhales, I draw the subtle energy of the sun into my car. Sometimes I draw the energy in through my navel and circulate it through the car. At other times, I draw the energy of the sun into my solar plexus, which is, from the viewpoint of Egyptian alchemy, an aspect of Ra. As I charge the miniature sun within my car, the excess energy spontaneously flows outward into my body. Sometimes I prefer to imagine my car as some kind of magnet, which it is, and draw the energies from the sun differently into the entire car at once. While this method may seem odd or lackadaisical, it has all three elements of substance, container, and awareness, and so it is, in fact, a form of alchemy. As I focus on my car, I'm holding it in the alchemical container of my awareness. The substance to be transformed is the car itself. In this case, I'm engaging something called an energy building practice. Why I would do such a thing will become clear in the next section when I talk about Egyptian alchemy. So there we have it, two of the essential elements, a substance to be transformed, my car, and a container to hold the alchemical reaction, my own awareness. The third element, energy, is of course provided by the sun itself, Ra. When I do this practice correctly, i.e. hold all three elements together, there is a tremendous increase of energy and vibration within my car body. At times, however, my mind will wander into thoughts and fantasies, and at these moments, the building of energy in the car decreases. If I don't bring my mind back to the awareness of the car, the building of energy will completely stop. This, of course, because I have lost the container for the reaction when my mind wanders. To use our tea analogy, whenever my mind wanders, it's like taking the kettle off the stove. The art, if you will, of internal alchemy is to hold all three elements, substance, energy, and container together, long enough for an alchemical reaction to occur. And the discipline required of an alchemist to accomplish such a feat can be considerable. I should underline that. All alchemists, regardless of their, I wonder, oh, I just want to. Okay. All alchemists, regardless of their lineage, must attend to these three elements: container, your awareness; substance, the car; and energy. Each stream offers its own particular ways to strengthen the alchemical container. And by practicing the methods for strengthening the container of awareness, the alchemist can hold together ever increasingly intense alchemical reactions. The alchemical practitioner must also become keenly sensitive to the subtleties of substance. As awareness becomes refined, the alchemist is able to distinguish the most subtle characteristics of energetic substances. And a sense begins to unfold of how best to use these substances in an alchemical reaction and to what end. These substances range from actual physical materials, such as saliva, sexual fluids, etc., to very subtle substances that are purely in the quantum realm of existence. As I mentioned earlier, it is these quantum substances that are most easily transmuted during the process of inner alchemy. Finally, the alchemist must collect energy since it is needed to drive alchemical reactions. There is a virtually unlimited field of possible energy sources for such inner work, and each alchemical tradition or stream offers its own suggestions on how to collect these types of energy. Indeed, the various streams of internal alchemy throughout the world offer a wide variety of clever, ingenious, and sometimes remarkable methods for the cultivation of energy. In the manuscript, Magdalene states that her task as an initiate was to assist Yeshua in the building of his subtle body, the ka, through specific energy building practices. This was accomplished, according to the Magdalene, through the masterful use of sexual energy. As an initiate of Isis, she was using methods from one of the oldest alchemical streams on the planet. And it is to this that we now turn our attention. Okay, so let's see. I want to see how long the next section is. If I should read it now. No. I don't know. I feel like wow. This is a lot. This is why I didn't finish this book. Ooh, child. Hold on, guys. Okay. Oh my goodness gracious. Listen. A lot of stuff here. I think this will be a book we'll be reading for a very long time. So, yeah, I'm going to stop here today. The next one is called Egyptian Alchemy. We'll start fresh with Egyptian Alchemy tomorrow. Not tomorrow, Monday. Maybe I'll do one over the weekend. But yeah, Egyptian Alchemy is kind of long. It's very long. I think that will take us a few weeks. Yeah. So I'm going to stop there today, and then we start with Egyptian Alchemy in the next podcast for today. I am trying to see if I have anything else to talk about. I don't really yet. I mean, I think I learned a few new things this week. But I don't think it's something I have to share just yet, you know? So I would just say, guys, please just take time with yourself. Self-love is integral to it appears to be my progress. So maybe your progress, although I think they have different routes. But I think self-love is one of the routes. So just take time with yourself, being true to yourself and what you want to do and what you don't want to do as much as you can, right? And not stressing yourself out or like feeling guilty or bad about doing what brings you joy or peace, as long as it doesn't harm another, you know. So that's it for today. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll be back next week with the podcast. Bye, guys.